Oh, well, I'm sure you've heard this a time or two. You create your own reality. You know, what you think, what you feel, what you imagine, what you dream, that is what you're creating. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of it if you are in like the spiritual community and working with the concept of manifesting and working with the power of the mind, your power to manifest. Well, I had a thought pop in for me tonight, and I wanted to pose this question for this knockout thought of the day. Yes, you know the drill. This is Chris J on Knockout Thoughts of the Day, where I pose a question or simply a thought to invoke deeper thought into you and who you truly are. So, my knockout thought for tonight is, are we really creating our reality, or are we just aligning to the reality where it can happen? Dun dun dun. Now, to actually paint this picture or to bring this thought full circle, I suppose one would have to have a bit understanding of, timelines and timeline jumps and timeline hops, right? These little mini shifts that occur. What? What you mean? What in the world are you talking about now? Yeah, I know. I probably sound like this crazy person, and you know what? It used to make me feel as such, but after having so many of these experiences of this timeline hop or timeline shift or timeline jump, and also hearing from other people that they experience it too, yeah, I don't feel crazy anymore. Not at all. Um, so have let's give you an example. Like, have you ever been driving down the road or like through your hometown? Like, you're very familiar with this area. You probably do it every day, and so you're driving down this road or through your city, and you begin to notice that something just looks different. Like something feels different. I like mini bit my tongue just now. Is that a sign? Like, what are you doing? Don't talk about this. They're not ready for it. I think you guys are ready for it, right? So yeah, something feels different. You look around and you have this eerie kind of feeling inside, like I can't quite place my finger on it, like something feels different. And it's just this feeling that you can't quite explain. Or maybe, I know I've been here on this one, you see physical evidence of the difference. Like, quite possibly there at the corner light, you no longer see a building that had been there for so many years and you just seen it yesterday. Or better yet, you just seen it on your way into the city, and now it's disappeared, on your way back out of the city. Or maybe the opposite, like you see a building that's never been there, or a house that's never been there. You pull up to the light, and the spot where, wildflowers once grew, you now see this building. And it's not a new building either. It's not like they threw it up in one day, but it's an old building. It's a worn down building. Yet you've never seen it before. And, you pass through this area 5 days a week on your way to work. I mean, I've had that happen, and I've heard other people tell me they have had that happen. Yeah, and it could be smaller things too, like the position of a sign. Or I remember a while back, my oldest daughter was studying for her driver's license test, right? And we had a whole debate on the way there about where's the green light, like what light comes first. And I'm like, oh man, like maybe in the other timeline the green light's first. Yeah, I don't know. Um, that's what me and my sister were talking about. Like, which timeline is red on top and which one is green on top? Yeah. Um, so yeah, I've seen this happen. I've seen houses change colors and then go back to like the original color. What about the people? The people around you that you are very, very, very familiar with? Have you ever experienced a sensation or a feeling like they're different? Like again, too, you can't quite put your finger on it. Like you feel there can even be extreme circumstances where you're really, really close to this person, and then all of a sudden it feels like you don't even know them. Like, who are you? What timeline are you from? Something about them just seems so off or so different. And again, you just can't put your finger on it. Sometimes they'll look the same, but the personality like is a bit skewed in a sense. You have this knowing or this feeling, and you might even ask them, is everything okay? And typically they'll reply, yeah, why? Kind of confused. Yeah. I've experienced that numerous times with people, and people have experienced that with me. My best friend, she mentioned a couple of months ago when I seen her, she was like, something about you feels different. I don't know what it is, but you feel lighter, like you have the different feel to you. And I was like, girl, I know, I felt it too. I know. I'm from another timeline. Or what about the instances about yourself? Have you ever awoken to find something about you that looks different? Picture this. There you are. You're standing in the bathroom, standing before the mirror that you've stood before several times, numerous times, infinite amounts of times. And you begin to stare into your eyes, but they look so different. Now, I can give you tons of examples of this, and I have proof for myself. Back when I felt like I was going crazy, yeah, I would take a selfie of myself every time I noticed something different. The biggest one being from my original timeline when I was somewhere between 6, 7, 8 years old. I was asleep in my aunt's waterbed, and she loved unicorns, right? And she kept all of these ceramic unicorns on the headboard. And if you've ever seen a waterbed, then you can probably picture what the headboard looked like. It had the little cubbies and it had the flat top. It had plenty of space to put, little ornaments and stuff like that. So yeah, she had these like ceramic and some glass unicorns on that. And one night during my sleep, one of the unicorns fell and it gashed my forehead. It's kind of to the right side above my eyebrow. Now, there are some days that scar is a clear sign for me that I'm in a different timeline, like not my original timeline. And there's another indicator too. I have a birthmark that is pretty prominent on my forehead, especially if I'm not wearing foundation. I've had it since I was a baby. I had it when I was born. I've looked at pictures of it. So this is my true marker of like my original timeline. So this birthmark, it's red, and it almost makes like a, kind of looks like a country is sitting in the middle of my forehead. Like it covers from, like an inch below my hairline and about, it kind of dips down in between my eyes. So it's pretty big. Yeah. And like, it'll get deeper purple. Sometimes like depending on my emotions, like especially if I'm mad, then it's going to go deeper. Like it'll really become apparent then. At the moment I have bangs, so it's not something that I really pay attention to. But this is a really big indicator for me. If my birthmark is not there, yeah, I'm not in my original timeline. Another thing that showed up facial wise for me about 3 years ago, I was actually on a trip. We had went to the mountains right in the midst of 4th of July weekend. And I was with my mom, and Communication isn't great between me and her. Like, we have an okay relationship. It certainly could improve from healing old wounds. I mean, mainly due to communication. Well, during this trip, I remember I had gotten upset with her about something that was really simple, and it definitely could have been prevented if there had been communication. It it would have cut out so much frustration. You know, she's was born in the era that doesn't communicate. You know, they don't know how to use the power of their voice. I'm not saying everybody from that generation is that way. Many have broke that curse, but you know, she's definitely still in the midst of that type of energy that says, let's not talk about it. Let's sweep it under the rug. Let's pretend that it isn't there, you know. Um, and, you know, I'm kind of coming from this position of being all about using the power of my voice. So, yeah, you can kind of imagine that clashes a lot. Anyways, the day was frustrating, you know. The whole communication thing really just had me tempered, you know. And I remember thinking, like, right before bed, man, like, I really wish there was a way that we could better understand each other and just freaking communicate. And so I woke up the next day, and after showering, and I was standing there brushing my teeth, standing in front of that hotel mirror, I noticed that I had this dent, like right on the tip of my right on the tip of my nose. And my first thought was, oh, how cute! Like maybe I slipped on something, right? You know how you can fall asleep on something. Like I wear my bracelets. I have this one bracelet that I haven't took off since the day I bought it, and that was well over 5 years ago. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm attached to this bracelet, and it doesn't bother me, you know. And I kind of figured, I guess that was where my mind first went. You know, maybe I slipped on something. Maybe even I had my nose digging into the one of the beads on this bracelet. You know, well, I didn't really give it too much thought after that. And I could just kind of brushed it off in that way of thinking, oh, I slept on something. But days went on and the vacation continued, but the dent in my nose didn't go away. So it definitely couldn't have been that I slept on something, right? And I also took note that for the rest of the vacation, it was kind of like a breeze, like things seemed to flow a whole lot easier. I mean, communication got super easy, and we actually had a good time, you know. We had fun, and it was a big energetic shift coming from how the trip first started. And about 2 weeks after returning home, I woke up one day and my dent was gone. And that's when I was like, maybe, just maybe, there is another version of me, another timeline, in another reality that has that dent now. Or, you know, that one that with the one that has the dented nose is, you know, a better communicator, or the energetic is there in that timeline for the communication to flow in the way that it did, you know, during the last week of that trip. Now, this particular dent has come and gone over the years, sometimes only appearing for a day, and sometimes it'll stick around for months. I mean, matter of fact, as I sit here right now, here in this very moment, I am the dented nose version of me. It actually makes me look like I have this like cute little button nose. I actually enjoy it. I really do love it. And this version of me in this particular timeline, I've noticed, is so much more talkative. Like there's a different essence to the way that this dented nose version of me talks. I mean, go figure. Me saying, I wish we could communicate better. And then, boom, timeline hop. You know, did I like hop on a timeline where that was actually possible? See, this is where I'm like, are we actually creating our reality, or are we just simply aligning to a specific timeline, a certain frequency, a certain reality where that can actually happen or is already happening? Or is it a little bit of both? Okay. So I have another face marking too. And this one is this, it's a very, very deep wrinkle that runs from my left eye kind of vertically down, parallel to my nose. And sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. Now, this deep wrinkle version of me, she loves to get lost in art and music. I find that when I'm in that timeline, I am singing at the top of my lungs and pushing art out like crazy. So, yeah, the question remains for me, am I simply aligning to a particular timeline to match up to my needs, my desires, my wishes, the things that I'm manifesting? I feel like I'm going to play around with this possibility. Yeah, I mean, I already have to some extent. I mean, come on. I know what type of me has the wrinkle or the dented nose or the original birthmark on my forehead. So, what do you think? I mean, I guess I used to always see creating your reality in such a different way. Like, when someone would say that, I could imagine me or somebody else saying, like, I have a new home to come home to every night, or I have a new car, or I have that X amount of money. And it was almost like off in the distance, like a matrix type of illusion, like bringing this into this here and now existence, kind of to be found in the future by me, because that's what I'm manifesting. I mean, that's just how my brain kind of took it. Not that it was literally being created as you say, whatever affirmation that you're saying or whatever you're trying to manifest, but I mean, I can only describe it in that manner to kind of get close to what my brain automatically computes as creating your reality. Like you say things to speak it into existence and then it's created. Well, and I mean, of course, there are like other laws of the universe you have to follow too, right? Like the law of vibration. You got to feel it, But now, with the way I'm seeing things, this creating your own reality feels more realistic in a sense of it's not just being created, but it's already there. Not here in this timeline, but there in that timeline. And how many times have we heard that also? Like, it's already here. It's already yours. It's already created. Yeah. I think it is. Like, there's this resonance within me that's going off right now. Like, yeah, it is already there. You just got to align to that timeline. And when you turn on those manifesting skills, you vibrate at a certain frequency that aligns you to that timeline where it is possible. And it's possible because it's already there. I mean, wow. Think about that. What if all along when we create, when we manifest, we are actually just kind of scooting over to the timeline? And well, for someone that isn't paying attention or isn't the least bit observant, they're not going to see that at all. They're not going to realize that just took place. So, let me see if we can make this image in my mind a little bit clearer and bring some clarity about the concept of alignment. Yeah, let's play. So imagine yourself, like picture it in your mind's eye. You're kind of standing on this row or this line, kind of like a fluorescent strip known as your current timeline. And as you see this, you standing on this row right here and right now, how are you feeling? You know, how are you feeling now, right here in your current timeline? Are you comfortable? Are you sad? Are you angry? Are you content? Are you happy? And once you have that figured out, how you're feeling, ask yourself, what is bothering you at the moment? Is it the sorrow in the world from all the events taking place? Is it your husband, your wife? Is it your toes and your socks? Oh, don't judge me. I've had that happen before. And once you see that and feel that, then ask yourself, on this timeline right here and now, what do you want? Do you want world peace? Do you want a fantastically rejuvenating good night's sleep? Do you want to feel comfortable in your own body? What is it? And how do you want to feel? Do you want to feel at ease? Do you want to feel peaceful, joyous, excited about life? Name it. What do you want? How do you want to feel? And see yourself on this current timeline that you are on now with all of what you described. The feelings and all of that. And see whatever it is that you wanted and how you want to feel. And as you do that, see if there's another row popping up beside your timeline. Right beside it. Or maybe you see it off in the distance. Maybe you see it above you. Did it appear? And as you maximize the feelings, your true feelings, what you truly want to feel, you might begin to see this timeline moving closer and closer until it's right beside your current timeline. You may even notice it as you maximize these feelings that it has merged with your current timeline. Or you may have chose to step over onto it. I'm seeing like a foot just kind of step over onto that timeline. This is the timeline where I'm happy. This is the timeline where I'm at peace. This is the timeline where I feel excited about life. And how cool is that? Now, just for the fun of it, while we're kind of in this, ask yourself how many timelines are available for you to play in. What do you see? Is it an infinite amount of timelines popping up? I mean, it is for me. I'm like, ooh, I could go play in this one. Ooh, I could go play in this one. One after another. Some are even crossing each other, like merging points available. If you could see this, even just the first timeline, I feel like you are already on your way of mastering, manifesting the things that you desire. Yeah. Now come on back. Let us understand how easy it is to automatically skip over to another timeline with just our thoughts, our feelings, our visions, because of that frequency that we hold within. And think about this. How many days have you had where it starts out so bad? I mean, you spilt your hot coffee on your favorite shirt. It was foggy outside and pouring down rain. You got stuck in traffic. You were late for work. You felt exhausted all day. Your boss was a real jerk all day. Your friends were cocky and had an attitude. And you get home and your dog has made a big old mess. Everything just kept piling up, didn't it? That one thing that went wrong tested you or set the tone for the rest of the day, or it simply asked you a question. Psst, hey, what kind of day do you want to have? What kind of timeline you want to be on, huh? You want to be on a messy one, a jacked up one? How you want to feel today? Sad, angry, frustrated? You want to cry? You want to cry? You want to give up? And you answered. And you aligned to a frequency that said, okay, align me with a shit day. Could you had created that reality? Could you had aligned to a better timeline? Oh yeah, I wholeheartedly believe you could have. You know, when that cup of coffee spilled, you could have sighed and kind of exhaled the energy of the mistake. You could have breathed in a sense of calm. You could have put your shirt in the washer to soak while you were gone. You could have made a fresh cup, and you could have slowed down for a moment to breathe a bit more, knowing that, hey, things happen. And you went and got dressed, and, you know, that cup of coffee, it tasted a little bit sweeter, didn't it? Yeah. Speaking of sweet stuff, last week, got another story for you. Last week I was raving about these sweet, juicy, oh my gosh, so good apples. They were so dang good. And they were Honeycrisp, right? And they were huge, and they were red and yellow hued. So good. And I only bought 4 of them. You know how it is when you have kids. Sometimes you'll buy a big old bag of something, and they're like, I'm not an apple fan this week, you know. And then sometimes you'll buy the bare minimum that they'll be gone within an hour. Yeah, so I only bought 4 of them. Now I ate 2 of them. They were so good. Let me tell you. And my 6-year-old ate 1, and my 16-year-old ate 1. And a few days later, my oldest daughter, she comes and she says, you need to get some more of those apples. And I'm like, yeah, which ones? The Honeycrisp? And she's like, yeah, the green ones. And I'm like, what? I was so puzzled. I'm like, they weren't green, dude. Not even close. And we had a whole conversation about it. Like, she swears up and down that they were. And said that I had 4 of them, and what bag they was in. They was in a green bag, and everything matched, you know, the flavor that she was describing and everything except the color. And I was like, they were red with like a yellow hue on top. Nothing about these apples were green. And she said by the end of the conversation, well, I guess they were green on my timeline. Now, mind you, this isn't something that I like openly talk about. Like, me and my sister have a lot of conversations about it. And sure, you know, she may overhear us sometimes talking about it, and that may be where she got it from. But I don't feel like she got this concept from me because, like I said, it's not something that we like talk about, you know. Usually when me and my sister talk about it, like, it's just me and my sister. So yeah, it was super cool to hear her say that. And, you know, she's always been very intuitive and had a sense about things unexplainable. So yeah. And you know what? What's even more extraordinary is that the next day after having this combo, there were 4 apples in a green bag right in the place that the original apples were. And mind you, I hadn't gone to the grocery store as of then. And they were indeed big, juicy Honeycrisp apples. The red ones. You know, that right there, I guess we both so strongly wanted those apples that there they were. We hopped to a timeline to where there they were. And just to add, I hadn't bought green apples in so long. So yeah, timeline hop for sure. It doesn't even really like blow my mind anymore. Like, it gets me excited. I'm like, oh yeah, let's experience this timeline. But yeah, it doesn't like blow my mind anymore. It used to. There was another instance one night that everybody wanted to have Thai food, and I didn't have any of the red sauce that comes in the little baby jar. And you know I didn't, And so my sister, she was like, yeah, after work, I'm going to stop and get some. And I was like, okay, cool. And so she comes and, she takes it out of the bag and she puts it on the counter right in front of the microwave. The microwave is like, right near the stove. And so I'm cooking and I open the sauce and I use it. And so we eat and it was delicious. And I go in the kitchen to go clean up and start washing dishes. And lo and behold, that little mini jar, little baby red sauce, sat in the exact position that she placed it. And I was like, what in the world? And like, I even walked over to, some of the leftovers and took another bite. And I was like, yeah, this definitely has that sauce in it. I know I used that jar. And so I walked over to the trash can because at this point I was like, did I just not put it in there? Like, what's going on? And so I walked over to the trash and yeah, there was an empty jar in the trash. But yet, there sat the jar in the exact same spot. Timeline hop for sure. Yeah. And that was a time where it was like, yeah, I gotta be going crazy. Like, there's something going on in my mind here. Did I put that thing in there or not? So yeah, but as I sit here today, it doesn't feel like I'm going crazy anymore. I just acknowledge it for what I feel that it is. There's just this like deep knowing in me that this is what's taking place. It's like little mini shifts to a different timeline because that is what I'm aligned to at the moment. So, that also eases my mind because if I don't like something and don't want to continue experiencing that, then there is this lingering feeling, this lingering knowing that if I were to change the frequency of that, I could change the timeline. Now, do I also think we are, in some form or fashion supposed to experience certain things on certain timelines? Yeah, for sure. For sure. Are we always going to be happy and joyous and peaceful? No. Can we bypass, all of the negative things, all of the sad things, all of the hard things? Well, I mean, I suppose one could if you really, really, really wanted to. But me personally, I also feel like there's this deep in the core of the soul, there's this knowing that, those certain things, the things that don't feel so great, that the things that are downright hard sometimes, those things are meant to be experienced. Whether it be for like the soul's growth or for a challenge to the mind, the heart, and the soul, for understanding. We move through it for a reason. I'll tell you another little story. It's not little, this was monumental in my experience. I had like this full acceptance of a timeline experience not too long ago. You see, my 6-year-old, I know I mentioned this before, but she had open heart surgery. And when I tell you, for 6 years, it was literally like we were bouncing timelines like crazy. Like 1 month, her doctor would say, no, we're not having surgery. And, then the next month, he might be like, let's get prepared to go in and repair these holes. We got to prepare for surgery. And then the next time he might say, we're going to do this and that. And he was telling me one time we were going to go in and like cap the holes. And then the next time it was like, oh, she's going to have open heart surgery. Then the next time we're just going in for the pulmonary vein. And next time, oh, no need to worry about surgery. I mean, yeah. Well, the timeline that we wound up on together was one where I kind of had to take a back seat. And I had to understand that this was her choice, her soul's choice going into surgery. And honestly, I didn't even know if she was going to be coming back to me. I don't tell a whole lot of people this, but I wholeheartedly believe that this child, my baby girl, came into this world to help me get back on track in my path and in my purpose. I mean, I was so far gone. And she came to like lend me her heart in a sense. She came to teach me her ways, came to teach me how to love and how to live. And as we prepared for surgery, I had to relinquish control of the outcome and accept that if this was her moment of return, because she had came in on a mission and she had accomplished her mission, then there was this piece in me that was like, I will see you in the afterworld, baby girl. And there were these little moments through this span of time where I would silently thank her, in the quietest of moments. She might be in the middle of playing and, I would just be staring at her and I would catch that frequency of gratitude for her mission, for her being here. Thank you. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for teaching me. Thank you for loving me so much that you would choose to come here. Thank you. And she had surgery back in July, and about midways through it, I went into the bathroom, in the midst of this quiet, and I heard her voice saying, Mama, I want to stay. I'm coming back. And we had a little conversation, me and her higher self, me and her spirit. And, I walked out of that bathroom with this great peace inside of me. My baby's coming back in this timeline. She chose to stay with me, to continue to experience life, to continue to be a great teacher to the world. And I appreciate that in ways I can't explain. Now, there for a few weeks afterwards, I could feel a sense of grief, mixed in with this happiness. Like there's a whole other me in some other timeline far away from this one that I currently stand in, where she made a different choice. And I also think I aligned with all the love in me to this timeline where she said, I'm staying, Mama. I'm coming back. Yeah. People can say, yeah, I'm nuts. She's nuts. And you know what? Even during this, I was like, nah, this has just got to be my way of coping with like all of the emotions of such a huge experience. But, that's what my rational mind wanted to step in and say, you're just coping. You're just finding a way to cope with this, because it did take its emotional toll on me, But then I look around and I see subtle changes around me. Like I can see subtle changes in her too. Small changes, but ones that on this timeline are going to make such a major impact with the people that she will teach next. Oh yeah. So if you're listening, you know exactly who you are. She loves you so much. She loves you so much that she chose to stay with a new mission in mind on this timeline. Yeah. So yeah, I do feel like I created that reality, so to speak. I do feel like my love for her continuance, that frequency that I held that says, baby girl, you're a heart warrior. Stay, you have so much to teach the world. I aligned to that timeline and here I am. So timelines, yeah. What do you think? Are we creating our reality? Are we aligning to the timeline where it's possible? Where it's already at? Are we connecting to that in a way with that frequency, like plugging in and it's a match and you're like, zoom, now I'm on this timeline. Oh yeah. Or is it both? Is what I'm saying just simply another way to look at how powerful we are as creator beings? Uh, 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 uh. And on that note, I'm going to leave you with this. You loved yourself so much in spirit, in that other reality, in that other realm, in that other dimension, that you chose to be here now. And that's got to speak volumes to the belief that you have loved yourself across all timelines. You have that belief in yourself across all timelines that you can and you will achieve what it is that you came here for. You love yourself so much that you are here. You are here to explore and create, learn, and grow. Knockout thoughts of the day.